This is Brooke, when she was 3 years old and diagnosed with autism. Two loud sounds in her brain is how she described her agony.
Okay, go ahead. You can get out.
And you are hearing Katie trying to understand her. Katie is Dr. Catherine Reed, a top Silicon Valley biochemist, and the mom of Brooke and 4 other kids. Brooke's suffering was more than Katie could live with, so she tried all the traditional approaches to autism, hoping for a cure, but none worked.
Okay, but Mommy has already tried to figure out what you want.
Applying her background in protein chemistry, Katie began experimenting with Brooke's diet.
Oh, yeah?
What are you excited about with school?
To her shock, she saw that Brooke's autism behaviors were linked to many of the foods commonly consumed in the American diet.
Can you tell me who your favorite friends are?
My favorite friends are...
So one by one, she removed each offending food, and Brooke's autism just disappeared.
So what are you making?
Oh, we're making cookies, and these are the ingredients. Macadamia butter,
Can you show me?
an egg, and some sugar.
And even more shocking, Katie, now on a no MSG diet in support of her daughter, felt herself improve both mentally and physically.
Like how many you want, and put them in the oven.
After I heard Katie and Brooke's story, I asked Katie to help me and my family to get off MSG.
All right, so we're in front of a Safeway store, and I want to show and share with you what I discovered where MSG was hiding, and I found an absolute health benefit by removing MSG from our diet, and I just want to share with you where is MSG in our food. Candy. Well,
All right, M&M's.
M&M's, okay.
What's it say on the label?
Yeah, so I'm definitely, okay, so, you know, MSG is actually in any gluten or casein product too. So this is going to have milk, so for sure we're going to have MSG because we're going to have processed milk in here.
What do you mean? Where does it say processed?
Well, I mean, it's skimmed milk, and so because the milk is pasteurized, it's going to be, it's processed and it's creating MSG.
Wait, pasteurized milk has MSG?
Yes, because you're breaking down the casein protein, which contains a lot of glutamic acid, and the free glutamic acid is MSG. So really any pasteurized milk is going to contain MSG. And this also has artificial flavors, which is another, big MSG component.
What does artificial flavors mean?
It's a good question, and that's what I came to start asking myself is, what am I eating? And I found the artificial flavors or natural flavors really doesn't tell you anything about what the food is. And artificial flavors is another way of having a lot of glutamic acid in our foods, which is MSG.
Flavors natural?
Natural flavors is natural, but there's a lot of things that are natural that are not good for us. But glutamic acid is a natural occurring amino acid, and this one doesn't even say natural, this one says artificial.
This is a no-no.
Yeah, I mean, I'm trying to avoid MSG, so I would never eat the M&Ms. There's not much candy in the market that I could eat.
Why are they putting MSG in so many? What's the reason that MSG is being used?
Yeah, MSG is something that makes people think that the food tastes good. It's an addictive component in food, and it's a neurotransmitter, so it excites our neurons and it makes us think, wow, this food tastes great. And that's exactly the reason, why people would put MSG in the food. And at some point you put too much MSG and the food doesn't taste good. So food manufacturers will often put as much as they can possibly put in to give them a competitive edge over other food manufacturers because people get addicted to the food and will continue to buy it. So there's a competitive or marketing advantage to putting MSG in food. But there was a health, association or negative health association with MSG a while back called, the Chinese syndrome and so forth. And so food manufacturers were trying to think of another way to put it in the food without it being, blatantly labeled as MSG. And so there's about 50 different ways that MSG can be labeled. And you really have to look at these ingredients and dissect every single one and say, wow, Okay, that's another code word for MSG. Okay, so this is an interesting one. And here, talk about just being blind. So we've got sliced peaches. Let's just see if sliced peaches, in and of itself is labeled. Okay, so this says peaches, water, and sugar. The issue with canned is the can tin, or the tin in the can, doesn't taste very good. So often the can manufacturers will coat their cans with some chemicals, sometimes MSG, almost often MSG. So you really have to source your can, and the people, or the food manufacturers that are putting food in the can have to say, oh, this can was not coated with MSG. So we're not even sure, even though this label says nothing, that is a code word for MSG. I'm not even sure because of the can. So containers, again, should be inert, and cans not necessarily inert in terms of not giving excipients or putting excipients in our food. Let's see if we can find a rice cake that doesn't contain MSG here, because that's something that I typically try to do. So whole grain brown rice, great. I could eat this.
That's all that's in there?
That's all that's in there. And that's the thing, is like the simpler the better. Keep it simple, because anything usually more than 5 ingredients are going to have MSG.
Mini crispy rice cakes.
Okay, let's try that. Because they really, a lot of time is about marketing. Oh, see, all of a sudden I see the ingredients and it's got more than 5 ingredients, so I know I'm likely going to be in trouble here. So, sugar, rice pieces, corn with germ removed. Oh, there we go, natural flavors. There's that word, natural flavor. And so I know it contains MSG. Natural flavors really has been a way to disguise the amount of MSG that's going in food, because there was such a heightened health alert to MSG that I think food manufacturers are trying to find more clever ways to market and have their food taste good. Because MSG is an addictive, component in foods. And they want to make their food taste good. The MSG is hitting the neurons right on our tongue. It excites them, and it makes us think, wow, this food's great. And when Pringles really was doing the marketing about you can't just eat one, they weren't kidding. You are addicted and you want to consume more.
Now, milk products would be fine. Sour cream?
Well, milk products, I would say I'm not doing any milk products because of the casein in there, and the processed casein is really generating a lot of free MSG, or free glutamic acid.
Cheese?
So cheese, sour cream, milk, yogurts. I'm completely steering away from all milk products.
It's very discouraging that you can't have a milk product when so much is milk.
Yes, milk and gluten, right? So there's so much that's gluten also.
Is gluten connected to MSG?
Again, because gluten has a protein that contains a high amount of glutamic acid, and it's always processed. You're breaking down that protein into free glutamic acid, and again, free glutamic acid is the same as MSG. There's something called OxyGrow that is sprayed on conventional fruits and vegetables. OxyGrow contains MSG. So even with fruits and vegetables, if you want to remove the MSG, you have to go to the organic, because it's forbidden to do that on the organic section.
Can you wash it off?
That's a good question. It's actually grown with that, and so you know that it's penetrating some of the cell walls and the membranes in there, and so it's going to be absorbed in there. And I don't know how much, but it's one of those things where they're spraying it, and it's hard to know how much is penetrating the skin.
Here's raisins.
Raisins.
Figs.
Yeah, and raisins and figs, if they're organic, are great amounts. So again, because it's conventional, it's going to have a lot of pesticides or the OxyGrow on there. So it's interesting that even though this is labeled as craisins, cherry juice infused something, it does have what we were trying to say before was the natural flavor there. So this one even has MSG, so it's not even just your cranberry or your cherries. So it's got natural flavors. Citric acid is another one that contains MSG. And that's another one that surprised me, because citric acid actually was something that I thought was preserving the food and preventing it from yellowing. But because it's processed from corn and under acid conditions, the corn protein is the contaminant, and the protein gets broken down, and you got a lot of MSG in your citric acid. Banana chips. And it says banana flavor. So if it was banana, they would say banana. Banana flavor, you can pretty much guarantee that's got MSG in it. And so anything banana flavor, raspberry flavor, natural raspberry flavor, MSG, just another code word for MSG. And I do think each individual will have a certain sensitivity, but I think every single individual will have a toxicity to MSG. It's about what that is to certain people. And often people don't realize that they're already experiencing a toxic effect. And it could be by chronic inflammation, it could be headaches, it could be symptoms they're already experiencing they have no idea is associated with MSG. And so I do believe that every single individual has a toxic threshold to MSG, and it will vary.
There's no law against MSG.
No, MSG is FDA approved as being safe, and there's a lot of studies, showing its controversial effects. I think there's been a lot of people who have gone out of their way to show that it's safe, but oftentimes those are the ones that are sponsoring it are the food manufacturers that are saying that it's safe. And so you really have to look at who's sponsoring these scientific studies, because somebody who has a benefit, a financial benefit from the results, typically won't be an unbiased study. So this is a local market, and what I love about New Leaf is that it makes a lot of my health food choices for me. It has weeded out many of the options that I would not choose as options. So again, I'm keeping off the gluten products, and so cookies are going to be, one of my on my no-no list. I make my own cookies.
Free products.
They do have gluten-free products, and again, you have to be very careful when you say gluten-free. We're still looking for MSG, but gluten-free allows me to know that at least I don't have the gluten component, which is a big MSG component. Udi's is a very popular gluten-free brand, but it's really your Wonder Bread equivalent. And again, it's not keeping it simple. I know picking it up, I've got a lot of ingredients that I'm sorting through here. So evaporated cane juice, whole eggs, tapioca starch. So far, okay. Vegetable oil. Ooh, lemon Flavido. I'm not even sure what that is. Maybe it's a typo. Maybe it's meant lemon flavored. I'm not even sure what lemon Flavido is. Lemon peel, sugar, lemon oil. Oh, okay. Baking powder. So baking powder can often have some processing that will have MSG in it. Oh, now we're getting into like monocalcium phosphate, vanilla, extractives of the vanilla bean. Lecithin is going to have a processing that's got MSG in it. Xanthan gum, again, the processing unfortunately contains MSG. And molasses, so these things are, processed sort of.
So it's the processing.
The processing oftentimes will have either generate MSG or have MSG as a contaminant in it. So.
This would be enough.
Yeah, and really, that's a lot of ingredients for something that's a muffin that's gluten-free. I mean, muffin should be coming down to, okay, let's just say, well, if it's lemon, put some lemons, put some flour, sugar, and let's call it a muffin, and eggs, but that's a lot of ingredients. And here's an interesting one is juices. So, Odwalla is a very popular kind of health brand, and a lot of these juices, you have to be careful, will contain MSG. And it's not fortified, orange juice, juice should just contain juice, a lot of it's fortified. And once you get into that fortified vitamin area, you have no idea. And I typically find that we do have some reactions there. So this one, orange juice, simple, okay, I'd buy that one. But like strawberry banana juice, again, it's fortified. And so when you're getting into these vitamin fortifications, you just don't know what that source is. Now let's see if this tea. So, Honest Tea. Ingredients, purified water, fair trade, organic black tea, natural flavor to balance acidity. No, you call them up and it's going to have MSG. A lot of the cookies, again, it's got the gluten product. The Tio chocolates, oftentimes the dark chocolates are fine. And so this one's got cocoa beans, sugar, cocoa butter, chili powder, cayenne pepper or cayenne powder, ground vanilla beans, cinnamon, orange zest, and orange essential oil. So that's something that I can eat. And potato chips are interesting too, because I want the organic. Remember, I was talking about the organic, and there's only one brand of organic potato chips that does not contain MSG. One. Kettle, you won. And and here's another one. It says no MSG, but do not let that fool you. No MSG does not mean that it does not contain MSG. For this one, it does. But oftentimes, food manufacturers will say no MSG when what they're meaning is that they don't add MSG, but what they're adding is glutamic acid. It's the same thing. So very big marketing gimmick. But this brand contains ingredients. Where are those ingredients? Organic potatoes, organic safflower or sunflower oil, sea salt. Now that is different, for example, than organic salt and fresh ground pepper, where now you're getting into a little bit more ingredients here, and the brown rice flour, sea salt, organic black pepper, the onion powder, yeast extract. Yeast extract is another code name for MSG. Why would you put yeast extract in a potato chip? I don't know, but they have, and it's MSG. There's some really good local products here that are gluten-free, that are and don't contain MSG. So a lot of these, macadamia butters, this is a great brand. Nut butters are excellent source of proteins and some minerals, and these are great for kids' lunches. And
Do they taste good?
yes, look at that. Organic raw macadamia and organic raw cashews. Keep it simple. And then this stuff is just great because it travels well.
Nuts are good. Nuts are good.
Organic nuts, great. Organic seeds, great. And that's a lot of where my food sources are coming from. This Go Raw brand. Sprouted organic buckwheat groat, sprouted organic sunflower seed, sprouted organic flax seeds, sprouted organic sesame seeds, organic raisins, organic date. Wonderful. Live pumpkin bars. So a lot of these Go Raw brands, I love them. And they're great for kids' snacks, lunches, and things on the go.
Here's an organic raw nut.
Yeah, this one's great. Goji berries, barberries, mulberries, golden raisins, cocoa nibs, cashews, and pistachios. All organic. Wonderful. And so, a lot of this local sort of, and here's a cookie, you're asking about cookies. Pineapple macadamia with coconut and cocoa, certified organic. And so there are ingredients: organic unsweetened coconut, agave nectar, macadamia nuts, coconut oil, lemons, pineapple, cocoa, and pink salt. Wonderful. So there are things on the market that I can eat that are actually treats. And bread? No. So down this aisle, there are some gluten-free crackers on the market that contain no MSG also. And so this one's a good one. And if we go to the ingredients, it says rice flour, sesame seeds, tamari, and you have to be careful about tamari because that contains gluten sometimes, but this is saying it's certified gluten-free. So there are ways that you can have tamari without the gluten. Sesame seeds, cane juice, and the soy. So here's some crackers on the market that I can eat. All the other ones, they have gluten, so I stay away from those. Again, cans, I'm not doing cans because I don't know the source of the can. The tomato sauces are really challenging. I'm finding almost sometimes you have to just choose between, your two evils here. But organic Ville, the marinara sauce, I believe this is the one that I can eat. So all organic. So it's got tomato puree, tomatoes.
Does the word organic mean no MSG?
No. So if it's labeled as an ingredient, organic tomato, that's fine. But if it says 100% organic foods, that does not mean that food item does not contain MSG. So organic, all natural, those things don't mean anything with respect to your MSG load. And back to this, it's got onions, olive oil, agave nectar, garlic, basil, and oregano. And the thing with tomato sauces and any prepared food item, something labeled spices that doesn't list out what those spices are, you can guarantee it contains MSG. Food should not be proprietary. The proportions should be proprietary, but not the ingredient listing. So if somebody's saying spices, and I call up the food manufacturers and I'll say, what's in spices? They'll say, well, it's proprietary. sorry, it shouldn't be proprietary with the ingredients. The proportions and how you prepare it should be proprietary. So again, I stick with my organic spices, and as long as it just has that organic spice in, I'm using that a lot to flavor my foods, because that's where you often get into trouble when it's prepared foods and it says that spices word. Rices, normally I'm buying rices in the bulk section, especially at New Leaf, because they have such a high turnover. I know it's fresh, it's local, or they tell you the source. Here they're not telling me the source necessarily, and so what I like about the bulk food section is they tell me the source. There's a wonderful brand here, again, keep it simple, is this brand right here. Again, this is on my list of yes, I can eat. And organic brown rice pasta. Keep it simple. Organic brown rice and water. Beautiful, beautiful. Oh, here's another one on my no-no list. I know I'm going back and forth between my no-no list, and I cannot find a single chicken broth on the market that does not contain MSG. Every single one contains MSG.
So when I read turmeric extract,
Yeah, and turmeric, yeah, anytime that's saying extract, it's like, why not just add the turmeric? So you get a little suspicious there, but it says chicken flavor. Well, why would you be putting chicken flavor in a chicken broth, So MSG, and every single one of these chicken broths have MSG on it. So I make my own. Roast your chicken, get the sauce and broth, and make your own. So honeys, raw honey, it's not processed. That's one of my treats, especially for Brooke, is a nut butter honey sandwich. And so local honeys will actually provide you a little bit of allergy benefits, or guarding against allergies. And so it probably doesn't even say. There's 100% fine crystal raw local honey. Keep it simple. Yeah, so if it's organic lentils, organic beans, organic rice, it's on my yes list. And the longer the grain rice or the wild rice, the more nutritious the rice is. And so the quinoa, the millet, as long as it's organic, this is where I have a lot of my options. And notice here this one's roasted, okay? So roasted, as soon as it's roasted, it's considered processed, and they don't have to legally tell you where it's coming from. And with nuts and seeds, you can have rancidity, and the breakdown of the proteins in there. So you want to have as local as possible for freshness. And so as soon as it's roasted, you're not guaranteed as to where it's coming from. Now, organic whole cashews is raw, so it's going to tell us where it's coming from. And oh, this is roasted still. We're still in the process. Here we have raw pumpkin seeds. There we go, raw. So this is saying it's coming from Hopi Organic Farms. You can tell, exactly where it's coming from. Organically grown raw pumpkin seeds from Colorado. It has to tell you where it's coming from. And it's non-pasteurized, so that's raw. So the raw organic nuts and seeds, great sources of minerals and vitamins and all sorts of things. Teas, you just want to be careful that it contains no natural flavors. Let's see where we can find these ingredients. Oh, here we go. Ingredients: organic black tea from Darjeeling. So that would be on my approved list. You just want to make sure it doesn't have, and it's when you sometimes get into these like flavors, vanilla, apricot, white tea. Let's see where do we see organic ingredients? Okay, so see, white tea and natural flavors. So nope. No. So that's got MSG in it. Salsas and hummuses, I have found a couple of brands that don't contain any MSG, and but you really just want to be careful about the citric acid. So here's one I can eat. It's organic. It's a local brand, organic salsa, and it's just got and the ingredients are really hard to read. And they're right here: organic tomatoes, organic onions, organic cilantro, although it makes me dizzy reading it, it's good. Organic garlic, organic habanero peppers, organic lemon juice, organic cumin, sea salt. Wonderful. Wines, I do drink. They have like the sulfates and some things that other people are, maybe allergic to, but it doesn't have the gluten. So beer has, the gluten in it. So I end up not doing just normal beer. But wines, edamame, great, because it's the bean and it's fresh, raw, organic, or you can steam it even. But soy products, again, they have a lot of glutamic acid, and it's almost always fermented or processed in some way. So you're getting a lot of MSG with these soy products that are gluten-free, but not necessarily the healthiest. So organic eggs, frozen fruits and vegetables. We actually use frozen fruits quite a bit in our smoothies.
Because it's just fruit.
It's just fruit, yep. And again, we still, oops, they switched the thing around here. Still, you're looking for the organic label, of course. Making it frozen doesn't make it any. So organic blueberries, keep it simple. And this is where I spend 90% of my time, is right here, in the fruits and vegetables section, the meat sections, and just getting a variety of fruits and vegetables that are organic is where I live. The organic medjool dates, cranberries, grapes, strawberries, all of this, as long as it's organic. This is my happy aisle. Organic lemons, and this is where you get a lot of your vitamins and nutrients, your antioxidants, your anti-inflammatories is right here.
You don't eat meat, but can we eat meat?
I can eat meat, and what I do is just do the grass-fed so that you're knowing that there's no antibiotics and things like that in your meat products. I wanted to just point out too, a bread. This Food for Life brand is a great brand. It's got that xanthan cellulose, brown rice flour, filtered water, millet flour, a blend course of fine fruit juice concentrate, pineapple, peach, pear, tapioca flour, fresh yeast. See, it's not yeast extract, it's fresh yeast. And the xanthan cellulose would be on my...
Questionable.
Questionable, but it's one of those things where I'm not seeing a reaction in myself or Brooke that I've been doing that one. Let's see if this one has the xanthan also.
What would a reaction look like?
For myself, it's a headache, and normally I get a lot of more mucus production and allergies. For Brooke, a lot of these autism symptoms are coming back. So she, if it's just a small amount, typically focus will be the first thing to go. If it's enough of a dose with a food item that, for example, if I've accidentally given her juice that has natural flavors, that's enough to put a pretty serious reaction where she loses her language ability. She can't think of her words. It just deteriorates right in front of you.
How long does it take to see the reaction?
It takes 2 to 3 days after exposure to see the reaction, and about 4 or 5 days for it to completely come back to baseline. So it's not an insignificant reaction. It's not like that. So, and it's it's one of those things where 3 days is where it's maximum sort of exposure, where the most manifested symptoms are there. But yeah, that's the deterioration of language. You can tell it's just impacting her ability for her brain to process, and it's not fun to observe. So there's only one reason why food manufacturers are adding this significantly to our food, and it's because it's making us addicted to our food. And I discovered how addicting it is when you try to go off of it. It's very challenging. You're going through withdrawals because you are addicted to your foods, and it's challenging for people to remove it from their foods, but once you do, you have a whole new palette for what really food is. So I want to redefine food, and I'm really hoping that other people see the benefit in their health in doing so, like I did.
Katie Reed's experiences with MSG have made her a provocateur. She wants to share her discoveries with the hope of helping others. To contact her, send her an email at katherinelreed@gmail.com.